Another movie review. Yeah, I like movies. I hope you do as well. And I hope these reviews are helping you. Some people have suggested to me that there are too many plot spoilers. Well, I'm of a belief that if I'm going to spend 2 hours of my time watching a movie, I don't really want to get to the last 5 minutes and make a decision that it was not very good. To me, that in this day and age is a waste of time. So the plot spoilers, to an extent, are there so that you will be interested in going and watching that movie. They don't actually tell you the whole story, they just give you snippets of what you're likely to look forward to. And surely that's why we do most things. You go and watch a football team because you know the players and you're expecting them to perform in a way that you like. Well, I think a movie review has a similar sort of function. It gives you snippets so you can then decide, oh, that appeals to me, or no, that's not of my interest. So I hope you understand. So let's get on with Alfie then. Released in 1967. It's directed by Lewis Gilbert. It's a screenplay written by Bill Norton, who has also wrote the play Alfie. The cast in the lead role is Michael Caine, who plays Alfie. Then we have a series of women. Alfie is about his relationship with women. So there are a lot of them, and they're all in supporting roles. Shelley Winters plays Ruby. Millicent Martin plays Siddy. Julia Foster plays Gilda. Jane Asher is Annie. Sally Ann Field, Carla. And Vivian Merchant plays Lily Clammercraft. Other supporting actors. Eleanor Bron is the doctor. Dennin Elliott is the abortionist. Alfie Bass plays Harry Clammercraft. He's the husband, of course, of Lily. And Graham Stark plays Humphrey, and he becomes the husband of Gilda. And then we have Murray Melvin, who's Nat, a friend of Alfie's, and Sidney Taffler, who's also a friend. He plays Frank. Awards. Right, Academy Awards. He was nominated for Best Picture and Best Actor, and Supporting Actress for Vivian Merchant. It also got a nomination for the screenplay adapted for Norton, and also the Best Musical Song. The Globes, it went one better. It won for Best English Language Film. The others were nominations. Go through them again. Director, Actor, Supporting Actress, 2, Vivian Merchant and Shelley Winters, and it did the screenplay and song again. And at the BAFTAs, it won the most promising newcomer for Vivian Merchant, and the nominations again for actor Caine, for cinematography, for film editing and screenplay. And just finally, a note that it won the jury special prize at the Cannes Film Festival and was nominated for the prestigious Palme d'Or. So on to the review of Alfie then. Well, Alfie is really synonymous with Michael Caine. If ever a movie launched a career, then surely this one did. In many ways, Michael Caine was viewed in reality as Alfie, warts and all. Let's be honest, Alfie is not a nice guy. What's it all about? Song. What a great song it is. And, of course, a great jazz score set in London. Now, back to Caine. Yes, Alfie's character has aspects that are appealing, that are endearing, possibly charming. But when it comes to his behaviour, especially with women, he is domineering, self-centred, and at times borders on misogyny. But as he goes about charming his way into their beds, and they, at the time, are infatuated by his interest, he shows little regard for their overall well-being. Having said that, Alfie is a great watch. It has enough subplots to keep you interested, and of course that great performance by Caine. Lewis Gilbert used an interesting directing technique that I first saw in Tom Jones a couple of years earlier. It's the technique is of the character talking directly into the camera, and Alfie does a lot of this throughout the film. Effectively, you, the viewer, are more involved in the plot as an extra, and it enabled Alfie's thoughtful monologues to be emphasised as he rationalised and verbalised his ideas on life, his behaviour, and particularly what he and the female characters were like, and what we all wanted and needed out of life. So let's go through a few snippets that I've jotted down that caught my attention. Initially, he does a lot of, gives you a lot of tips on women, I guess for the watching male public. The difference between married ones and single ones. You need to get the married ones to laugh a lot. And then he gives the advice of some of the single ones that maybe you need to be a bit smart with your money so that you can create a sort of savings with people that are less alert. We call it fiddling. There's also the benefits of Alfie's views on child rearing. He gives a strong point that you shouldn't get attached to them. This is poignant because, of course, at one stage, not at one stage, but more than one, he actually impregnates two of the women in the film. Now, 3, the impact of the unwanted pregnancy is a point that I want to stress. In the 60s, this was a no-go area, and there wasn't, can I say it, there wasn't an amenable response for those who got pregnant outside of marriage, and it had quite an impact on both men and women, and of course the issue of abortion. We'll come back to that in a minute. But we do see Alfie showing some warmth to the infant after birth, and viewing childhood photos of his own brings out that sort of good-natured feel that he has towards his son. He does have a slight health problem that's a subplot as the film progresses. Shadow on his lungs. He is a smoker, and he ends up having to go to a convalescent hospital, a chest hospital. There were quite a few of those around because smoking was the order of the day. And there he comes across Alfie Bass, his character. He befriends him, but Bass has a lot of psychological problems. So Alfie's stay isn't that long. We also witness the perks of the job. After coming out of hospital, he lands a job as a chauffeur, chauffeuring around some rich woman in a Rolls Royce, and of course he borrows it for his own personal use. And whilst on the motorway, he stops at a service station and spots a young girl who's got a lift off a lorry driver, and whilst the lorry driver's in the toilet, he manages to persuade the girl to jump in the Rolls, and they have a brief fling. Alfie is also rescued by a fan in a barroom brawl. He's about to get beaten up, and this fan, who's a real macho character, steps in, and it's involved with that lorry driver who he had effectively stolen the girl from. Later on, after that, he does get in a brawl and ends up with a black eye, and this hurts his ego to the point that when he returns back to his flat with Annie, played by Jane Asher, he goes completely bananas about his food, and this leads to their breakup. And we see a side of Alfie that we hadn't seen much of, regret at his behaviour. The subplot with Winters is also quite memorable. She's moving towards middle age, certainly older than Alfie, affluent of course, and she uses Alfie as a bit of a toy boy, and she certainly likes sex. Alfie appreciates not having to be the hunter on this, but it also leads to a comeuppance from him, because he's latterly replaced by a younger version. Referring back to the Alfie Bass scenario, once out of hospital, he has a fling with Bass's wife, Lily, which leads to an unwanted pregnancy. And then there's this harrowing visit towards the end of the film when he arranges for a backstreet abortionist to come to his a flat, and he does his work, which provokes, of course, a miscarriage. And we have this very traumatized scene involving Lily, and latterly when Alfie sees the formed fetus in a bowl. We don't see that, but he does, and it has a profound effect on him. And latterly, with a friend, he considers the fact that he has murdered the child, but it doesn't last for long. We also get debates about the issue of the contrast of pleasure and pain in relationships, which is also very interesting. And he's also an observer at a christening. His previous love interest, Gilda, she eventually marries Graham Stark's character, and they have a newborn. And Alfie goes to the christening, and he sees his son there, and he stops and considers what would have happened if he had stayed on in this relationship. He wonders about the idea of this as an alternative to the road that he's trodden. And then as we virtually come full circle back to Alfie now wanting to seek out another to do some philandering, he actually meets up with Millicent Martin's character right at the end and jokes about possibly them restarting their hanky-panky, which usually took place in the back of a car, and there was a napkin on hand just at the right moment. So, in conclusion, I really love this. I really love watching it again. Caine is absolutely superb in this movie, and it brings out a lot of social problems, social issues about behaviour, about what's not and what is acceptable. And for its time, I think it was a magnificent piece of work. So please get to watch it. It's called Alfie. It was released in 1966, and it stars Michael Caine.